Yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, I was watching videos on social media about AGT and teens, right? Now, in Canada, you're allowed to date someone that's 16 years old or older, right? In Canada, that's what the age range is, 16 years old or older. And my sites are on 25 years old to about 25 years old to 40 for women and 25 to 55 for men, right? That's my taste, right? And I would go younger, but I feel like that's too immature. Like for me, I don't want to date someone that's too obsessed or someone that totally dismisses the relationship. I mean, you get both with people that are younger. A lot of people that are too obsessed get too obsessed, like they might be clingy as a young person. But some of them are just like they don't care and they're aloof, right? I want someone that has, you know, has gone through stuff. And I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but in general, I want someone that's gone through stuff, that has more of a mature look, that doesn't look too young, and that has, has not baggage. I don't consider myself having baggage. I had very good relations in my life, but I would say that I'm looking for someone that has enough experience that maybe they know exactly what they're doing, right? Or at least have learned things from bad experiences or whatever, right? And so they've gone through it all, right? And that's kind of what I'm looking for, right? I date openly, I'm in a marriage, and I date openly guys and girls, right? But yes, so when you think about that, and then was watching AGT, right? And AGT is the teen episode, right? And I always forget that teens, I mean, in California, the age range is probably 16 years old and up as well, right? So I always forget that when you see someone that's like super, super young on that show, that as long as they're 16, you can still hit on them, right? And not to say they are hitting on them, but I feel like sometimes you're just like, you see that and you think, oh, okay, that happens, right? I mean, that's something I wouldn't do. I don't hit on 16-year-olds, even though it's illegal here. I honestly don't know how it's legal. I know it is illegal and you can do it, and I know you can do it, and it's something people do often, I'm sure, and they're allowed to. So there's no problem with it. I honestly don't know how it's legal though, because I just feel like that's too young. But it obviously isn't, and that's the age range. And people that date younger would disagree with me, and that's fine. I think they can do. Obviously, they're allowed to date that age, right? So there's no reason why you would have to hide it or feel bad because you're allowed to date a 16-year-old, right? But I just feel like that's too young. But if people want to date that, they're allowed, right? So I mean, I would never say anything to anyone about who they're dating, right? As long as it's not like illegal. But if they're dating someone that's legal, then why not, right? But yes, so I feel like they're oftentimes they're flirting with each other on the show, and they're like 16, and I'm like, and some of this just like casual or platonic or whatever, but I always forget that that's the legal age, right? So you can hit on the 16-year-old for some, and I mean when I was 16, I know this is a separate story, but when I was 16, I looked like a gorgeous bodybuilder who was 30 years old. I was very, 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 very handsome at 16 because I was in 6 different sports, 2 extracurricular sports outside of that. I was always exercising like crazy. I looked very, 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 very good at 16. I looked like a grown man at 16. So, I mean, when you put it into that perspective, you can see how that would make sense that you could date a 16-year-old. And even just comparing my 15-year-old self to my 16-year-old self, I've matured quite a bit in that time. But I was kind of a late bloomer. Like I started dating later on in life, not too much later, but later on. Like people I wanted to date me like crazy, but I found that people I never really dated as much. I dated a lot for a long time, but I dated quite a few people, but I would say that I never dated until I was like a certain age that was higher than the average. Like a lot of people will date. They'll be 12 and they'll date a 12-year-old or whatever, right? Or they date someone in their junior high school or whatever, right? Or some people are in high school and they date someone. They're 16 and they date someone 20 or something or whatever, right? But I never. Started dating when I was 19. Isn't a big deal, but it's not like the typical age where people start, right? So many people start younger, right? Anyway, thank you guys. Bye now.